Hi, my name is Jill and welcome to my channel, Jilly's Journey. And I want to start off by saying my channel has a lot of personal information, wisdom, and helpful tips when it comes to mental health. And if you struggle with mental illness, I have personal experience and wisdom to share about that type of stuff. And you will see some other little random things mixed into my channel, such as dance routines and journaling tips and what have you. So I decided, the second thing I want to say is I decided I would like to apologize for all of my Drive With Me episodes that maybe don't interest anyone, in the fact that I was mostly being kind of lazy with my YouTube channel. I sort of wasn't, I didn't have the energy to put the time into writing down more video ideas or topic ideas in a journal and then, creating a video and having it be like a sit down, looking at the camera, talking about something in an organized way. I was doing a lot of Drive With Me's that were impromptu, and I would just talk about random stuff such as how I was feeling that day. I would try to maybe give perspective and tips, but it really wasn't organized or well prepared. So this video, I didn't organize or prepare to talk about this, although it's basically just another introduction to my channel and giving you just some of my current thoughts about mental illness, what I've dealt with, and some encouragement for anyone that might be struggling with one of the following mental illnesses, or maybe even a different kind. So these are the mental illnesses that I've experienced, so that you might like what I have to say about my experience or what I've learned, tips or whatever. So the mental illnesses that I've been diagnosed with, especially because I don't fit into just one category of mental illness or one type of mental illness, I have little bits and pieces from several different diagnoses. So my diagnoses are schizoaffective disorder, bipolar manic type, depression, PTSD, and I think that's it. When I was younger, for a long time in the mental health hospitals, I would be discharged with the diagnosis of psychosis. And psychosis is like a mental problem if you're becoming psychotic, but for many years they didn't know what else to call my issues. And way back when I was younger and I tried smoking weed, I tried LSD, also known as acid. It made me into a very fearful, paranoid person. And I did talk about that in one of my videos. If you have watched that one previously, or you could search it. I think it's just one of the videos where I talk about my experience with mental health and the tips that I have. I'm wearing like a white jacket in the video, if that helps you find it. But that'll tell you about all of my history with mental illness. But back to the point. So I wasn't diagnosed for a very long time. I would get like paranoid. I would never hallucinate, but I would get delusional and paranoid ever since trying weed, and ever since especially using acid 3 times. After doing those drugs, my brain truly changed and I became fearful, afraid of loud noises, afraid of certain things, afraid of the dark. And I would get a little bit delusional. I might think that people were out to get me, people wanted to hurt me, people were judging me. And so I have experience with that. I want to tell you, never give up. That can be any sort of psychosis, especially if it's schizoaffective disorder or some type of schizophrenia. Those illnesses are hard to treat. The most common medications that are going to be used for those mental illnesses, like schizophrenia type illnesses or just psychosis, are antipsychotics. Antipsychotics are very heavy, they're very blunting, they can make you feel numb, emotionless, tired, foggy-headed, so many things. And it's hard to take medications like that because you're truly trading one problem for another. Like, the side effects are no joke on those types of meds, and they stink. They might help with what the situation is at the time. So I just want to tell you guys in this sort of random video, where I'm trying to get back to the basics of what I want my channel to be about, which is helping people with mental illness or mental health goals or struggles. So don't give up. Like, I know that those medications are hard, but there are medications out there that maybe you could take in the future that have less side effects. I've had a lot of great experience with using CBD full spectrum oil. I went off of pharmaceuticals for about a year and I only used CBD full spectrum oil. That healed my brain at least 80%. And now I am no longer fearful or like extremely fearful of the dark where I can't sleep, fearful of loud noises where I can't use those toilets in the restroom that are super loud, like when they flush, or the hand dryers. That stuff used to scare me. Now it doesn't. I am back on pharmaceutical meds just because where I live, I didn't know any doctors that used CBD, especially doctors that used CBD for schizoaffective disorder. So I kind of reached my limit. I didn't really know how else to use the CBD. It helped me, it healed me, compared to pharmaceutical drugs that just kind of like help with symptoms. They don't really heal the problem, they just help with symptoms. But so yeah, the CBD helped me so much, but eventually I did have another mental health issue of a little bit of delusion, you know, thinking that people were judging me and stuff, like not thinking that anyone was trying to hurt me. So again, my real fearful paranoia did get healed from the CBD full spectrum oil, but I did have to go back on pharmaceuticals. It's been a rocky road overall for over the past decade, but I've come a long way. So I want to tell you guys, don't give up, whether you were born with some mental illness issues or what have you, or whether you accumulated mental illness as an adult from past decisions that you know were poor decisions, like using drugs. Or maybe you just got older and all of a sudden you realize that you have mental illness, because sometimes when we get into our late teens, early 20s, and even our 30s, that's sometimes when mental illness presents itself. Some people never get diagnoses until they get older, because the mental illness sometimes doesn't show when you're a kid or a preteen. Sometimes it takes into adulthood sometimes to finally see what your mental illness is and to get a diagnosis. One sec. I just got a massage from my friend and she's amazing. If you know me personally and you ever want a massage therapist recommendation, please let me know. I can recommend you. Yeah, if you know me personally, just send me a text. By the way, if you ever want to reach out to me, I try not to allow comments on my YouTube videos because I just don't like that. I don't want to leave the door open for negativity. But if you are interested and you want to chat with me or comment or follow me on socials, you can follow me on Instagram at JillyC_143. Again, that's at JillyC_143. That's my Instagram. And then, yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. I don't use a lot of other social media. And you can reach out to me there. You can follow me. You can comment on something. You can DM me, whatever. So I love you guys. I just want to help you. And my other diagnoses, I'm still familiar with bipolar manic type. The only symptom of bipolar manic type that got me this diagnosis really is pressured speech. So the mania part, like pressured speech is something that anyone could do without having mental illness. It's when, you might be able to relate to this, it's when you talk a lot or you talk really fast or you say a lot of random things because you have this thought in your mind and you think you need to get the thought out before someone interrupts you or before someone misunderstands you, or you want to finish your thought before the other person talks, or you feel like you have to say what you're going to say or you might forget it. Like you might be in conversations with someone and maybe it's someone who doesn't really let you talk that much and they truly interrupt all the time. And I don't mean just interrupt and then the other person responds and then they interrupt you. Like that's like more like a conversation type. I mean when someone interrupts you and they're really leaving no room for you to talk, they're just like da 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 da. That's like pressured speech. If somebody is just talking. Not like this. I mean, this is a YouTube video, so I'm the only one that's talking right now because I can't hear you. But yeah, you know what I mean. So pressured speech is my only symptom of bipolar manic type, but I know what it's like to deal with that type of mental illness. I've also dealt with depression, mainly I think because of my antipsychotics being so numbing. I think I really just became very depressed after like 10 years of taking them every day. I ended up, needing an antipsychotic. And so whatever, I mean, not an antipsychotic, sorry, I needed an antidepressant. So I take an antipsychotic, I take an antidepressant, and I take one drug that's like a stimulant to kind of help with fatigue, because these drugs can cause a lot of fatigue, even the antidepressant. And then I take a fourth medication to help me with my tight jaw, and that's a bad side effect that I deal with. That's the only side effect from the meds that I deal with that I had to take like another medication for, or I should say the only two. So the fatigue, the tiredness, whatever you want to call it, and then the tight jaw. So those are my only two side effects. And people do worry that, you get diagnosed one medication, you're going to have to get diagnosed other medications to treat the side effects. And yes, that happens, and that's true. It's not the case for everybody. It depends on what medication you're taking. It depends on you and your reaction to the medication, and it depends on the dosage that you're taking. If you're taking a high dose of something, you might need a little bit of something to combat side effects. If you're taking a very low dose, you might not have any side effects. Or if you're very sensitive, you might have like one or two side effects. And it is a pain in the butt to have to take medications, but you can get to a point where, like I'm at right now, my medications are finally at a 90-day pill bottle. So like I don't have to pick up medications every month. I can pick them up every 90 days. I get 90 days worth of my medications, except for one of them is a controlled substance. A controlled substance meaning people might abuse it, so they only let you have it 1 month at a time. And I'm totally okay with that, because I don't want anyone to ever... I don't want medications that are addictive to get into the wrong hands and have people like OD and stuff. So I think it's great that they control that. So there's a lot here. Those are like my mental health diagnoses. Don't give up. Like if you're choosing to finally address a health issue that you have with your mental health, maybe you don't even have a mental health diagnosis. I'm sorry, a mental illness diagnosis, but maybe you want to start seeing a therapist. Maybe they're going to say, hey, like, do you want to see a psychiatrist? Or maybe you can even ask them, do you think I should see a psychiatrist? Does it sound like I really have an issue here? Like, what could I do besides take medication? And if X, Y, and Z doesn't work, maybe they have a psychiatrist. I'm sure most therapists know a psychiatrist. Most mental health therapists will be able to refer you, or your primary care physician could refer you. Don't be afraid to take meds. They can, depending on which one you're taking, they can take a long time to work, like even like 6 weeks or even 2 months to like work. So you don't want to wait on this. You don't want to sleep on it. If you're suffering and if it's been more than 6 months and nothing you're doing is really helping you, don't just rely on yourself anymore. Like ask for help, or like take a medication. You don't have to take a lot of medications. You might only need a little bit. And if you do need a lot, that's okay. Like ideally, we don't want to have to take meds, and a good doctor doesn't want to a good doctor will not want to prescribe you. Third time's the charm. A good doctor is not going to want to prescribe you a lot of medication on high doses. If a doctor's doing that, find another psychiatrist. That's not a good doctor. A good doctor wants you to be on the least amount of medication possible at the lowest doses possible. Maybe not in the beginning because you're trying to nip the problem in the bud, but at the end of the day, after 6 months, after 1 year, a good doctor is going to reevaluate your meds and see what you really need, if you can wean off of any, if you can lower any. That's a good doctor. If something's working for you, don't worry. You don't have to lower medications just because you are embarrassed or worried that you're taking too much. If you're taking too much, you're going to know. okay? And don't be afraid. Just work with a doctor you trust, but don't sleep on it. Get a doctor. If you're suffering, this is your encouragement. I'll leave you at that. We're a little over 15 minutes. I didn't write down anything for this video. It's just another reminder to myself and a reminder to my followers that might have been listening in the first place to my better organized videos. I'm not going to give up on YouTube. I needed some time to just kind of focus on work, but I kind of want to get back into it, post regularly, and I love you. God bless you. And I hope that you're well. And if you need help, I hope that you'll find it, because there are people on this earth that want to help you and want to love you and care for you. So have a great day. Peace.